Oi, oi, we're back. Bam, bada, bam, bam, bam. Yes, you know me by now. It's King Fred. Stop shaking your head, John. You know you love it, really. We're back. It's the Vinyl Vandals with a favourite five. And I'm going to pass you across to my spot to the right of me, who is...
I'm John. You know me as well. I'm always here as well. And below us, we have a special guest who is...
Specifik, Beeline Recordings, Cold Crush Radio, and, me. Humble old me.
Right, okay. I'm glad you said that, your name there, because as you might tell, I've got a lisp and it's very, very hard for me to say Specifik.
Oh, do you know what? It is one of those things that people, Specifik is a classic. Specifik. DJ Specifik.
I've been practicing all morning when I'm driving around trying to say it. I just can't say it. It's really think to say it, you know.
Just go, or you, or mate.
Okay, so we're here to do the favourite five. Thanks very much for offering to do this. We really appreciate it. We know people are busy people, especially this time of year. For those who don't know, it's Christmas time, because this won't come out till after Christmas, but it's Christmas time and it's the last few days before Christmas. So we really do appreciate you coming on board. Okay.
I was that close to wearing my Santa suit as well. That would have been wrong.
Nothing will beat Riddler's Santa suit that he had on the other day, but more about that later on when we do the Christmas one. Okay, so we asked you, like we always do, to pick your favourite five. We'll ask you that UK or USA. What did you pick?
Well, I went for UK.
And how hard was that?
It was almost impossible. In fact, it was impossible. There isn't a definitive five, really. So I had to find an angle. And so the angle I've gone with is the angle that is... I always think that music is one element of the culture in terms of like, for me, it sort of represents a time and a place or how I felt about something or what was going on. So I actually chose five records that had more of an important meaning to me because of where I was and what influence had on me at the time, rather than the fact that they were just dope records.
Cool. And hopefully we'll be able to speak about that as we go through your catalog. Okay, so you picked UK. Before we start, I suppose... No, I'll tell you what, we'll do the first album, then we'll come into that afterwards. Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Pick your first album. Before you do pick your first album, like I always ask, is there a hierarchy of albums, or is it just your favourite five at that moment? Have you got one that's the top of the top? Or
there is no hierarchy at all. Yeah. And the reason that because they all fit a place. And that place is as significant as any other. So I couldn't actually put one above the other.
Right. Okay.
All right.
And you know about my yellow card and red card system, don't you?
No.
It's 5 albums. I'll see there straight away you've got more than 5 albums. So I'm just making you know that there's only 5 albums.
That's all right. I've only got 5 albums. It's fine.
That's all right then. Well, you know, I didn't do very well at school, but I can see more than 5 there.
Well, it's a case of just in case I have any last minute wobbles and you know, it starts taking a bit of a weird direction. I feel like I need to either go for the cool option or the super rare option, rather than the... No, I'm joking, really.
As long as you haven't went to the...
I'm joking. What I was trying to do was get...
I know what you were doing. Like most hip-hop, I was trying to cheat. So all I'm saying is as long as you haven't went to the DJ Riddler School of Counting Mathematics...
I was just trying to sneak a couple more covers in so people would feel more included.
I'm watching.
I know you're on it. I watch the show, so I know that you're all over this. I thought I was going to be quite clever then, but clearly I was.
Keep on my John. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, you're just as bad when we did yours.
That's different.
Yeah, I know. He can't say anything, can he?
I know.
Right. So where do I start? Actually, I kind of get away with 2 in this. I know you're watching, Fred. Right. But my first choice is Death Defiance Hazardous, which originally came out on a cassette.
Death Defiance
Hazardous.
Yeah.
That came out on a cassette.
Right.
Okay, originally back in 1992, and it was then many years later, for a lot of hard work and with myself, Toda over in Germany, some of the guys that took some of the original photographs, and some of the people that have been involved, Roller, in terms of the mastering, basically remade the cover and created the album. And what they did was they created a test pressing of the album, which actually included the very first EP, which came out in 1990 as well. So yeah, this one is extremely close to my heart. When I moved from Bristol down to Devon, I was really into hip hop, and I moved to Devon, and I thought, oh, this is going to be so lame. You know, there's nothing down here at all. And I met a guy called Adam, who goes by the name of Project C, something you may know. And he was in a group right at that point called Ilby Productions, and along with Roller, another guy called Shah, who's on the cover. And they were making songs, and they were sharing records, and it was exactly what I was into. So it was great to bump into these guys straight away. And what I realised quite quickly is I thought I was pretty ahead of the game being from Bristol, but these guys from a very sheltered town in Devon called Sidmouth were way ahead. They were so far ahead, technically and everything else. And they were creating music that was, to be honest with you, I think was on a par with everything that was coming out a bit later on, you know, 1990s. And but they just, obviously at the time, white guys from Devon, it wasn't really a marketable product. But in terms of the local impact, it was huge. I mean, these guys sold tapes on the street. Those tapes ended up being filtered out across Europe, and the Germans were bootlegging it. They ended up supporting Blade in his very early career, Hard Noise, and going around the country. But it was still a couple of guys from Devon. Yeah. And then obviously as time's gone on, Roller became the Numbskulls, who've got a huge legacy, huge legacy. And Roller's probably involved with the mastering of some of, you know, a massive amount of UK hip hop. Adam was in a group with me, Specifik and Project C, and we've done many things over the years. And now he's writing books on localized hip hop and all sorts of bits and pieces. I don't know if you've come across his stuff.
Yeah. So has he got published books? Has he?
Yeah.
Okay. So give us a shout out for some of these books for me to get. I know.
Yeah, no, I will do. I've got some on the shelf here actually. I'll just grab one.
Yeah.
So it's one of Adam's books, Scratching the Surface, Hip Hop Remoteness and Everyday Life. And what I love about it is it sort of describes his journey in hip hop and the people he meets, and you know, what he had to go through to find the music and to find out about the culture living in Devon. And he sort of explored this right across the country with different people, you know, from Norwich to Kent to Newcastle. And it's a really, really interesting picture. And what I like about it is the picture that's been painted is a very, very similar one, but without obviously internet or, in fact, nothing really. Nothing. It's amazing how everybody has a very, very similar story, but without having any major media influences at the time.
Okay, interesting. Okay, thanks for that. I'm going to check that book out. I would have got it on for Christmas, but it's probably too late to get it for Christmas now. But it's something to work on in the future anyway.
So yeah, the reason this one's so important to me, not only is it a fantastic representation of UK hip hop at that particular time, it is also really the soundtrack of those of kind of 1990, 1991, 1992, where you know, we were out going to the jams and these guys were warming up. We were just, it was a great time. It was a great time. Big shout to all the Southside Alliance, everybody was involved in the Exeter scene at the time.
Nice one. So before you put it down, what's the favourite track off the album?
you know, I was going to think about this before, but it's one of those almost impossible. It depends on the day, but Chemical Attack for me is just roller on absolute fire. And Adam being one of my best friends at the time as well, when he did a solo track, which is I Don't Burn, blew my mind. We actually remade it in 2002, put it out on record.
Yeah.
So it came, amazing.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, Chemical Attack. Chemical Attack.
What I would say is, obviously, you sent this afternoon. You sent some of your tracks across to me that from the albums. And I've got to be, you know, hand on heart, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know any of the albums that you've sent. And I had a conversation with you yesterday about it. So obviously, I was cramming to learn a lot of the other stuff that people have said. You know, I know the album, or I you know, it's not an album I haven't listened to for a while, but it's easy for me to get back and do. But what struck me straight away from the songs that you sent was Chemical Attack. I was like, whoa, this is good.
That's the one that got me as well.
I loved that straight away. I was like, whoa, I'm making a bit of this. How come I about these, you know? So
I mean, I've got goosebumps on my just thinking about that song. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. When you think 1991, 3 guys from Devon in their bedroom, minimal equipment, just passion. Yeah.
Nice one. Okay, good stuff. Okay, and before we go into your next choice, I think it's worth asking at this time. You say it, John, because I can't say it.
Specifik.
Yes.
What is your hip hop history? And what I mean by that is, I'm sure you've watched the things before. What made you get into hip hop? When was it about? You know, what was it about the hip hop that made you come into it? You know, just a brief sort of like history of Specifik as a hip hop fan.
Okay. Well, I used to live in a town just outside of Bristol called Nailsea, and in the summer of 1983, I was at the school fete. And we were sitting around, me and my friends, on the grass, and these couple of guys came over, and they started doing just a couple of breaking moves, and I'd never seen it before. My friends hadn't seen it, and we thought, hey, that's pretty cool. And tried to do it ourselves. Went home, researched, tried to find out a little bit more about it, and of course, the wave came. The first wave of hip hop, Buffalo Girls, and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of just consumed it as it was coming at us. So whether it be Buffalo Girls, Subway Art, Style Wars, Breaking, Beat Street, all those things. It just took over, and we, like many other people around the country, formed our own crews. We were all doing graffiti. We were all trying to have a little tamper with our dad's turntables, breaking the needles, trying to emulate the sound. But one of the really key things at the time was in Bristol. They were piloting a project at school because they felt like the kids were really not engaging as well as they could. So what they tried to do was utilize the things that they might be interested in. So in music, our music teacher would play us like the Malcolm McLaren video, then we'd get a turntable out and try and scratch it. We'd have to go into other rooms and try and make pause button mixtapes. We would write raps and recite them in class. So it was really groundbreaking at the time, really groundbreaking. And sort of just, we felt it was a bit cheesy, but it sort of sat hand in hand with what was going on at the time, which was great. And then in art as well, we were allowed to do graffiti for art. So just sitting there doing graffiti, which was amazing. It was amazing. And it saw a lot of development. It saw a lot of people sharing a lot of ideas where ordinarily they probably wouldn't. And we were a very, very small community. So they ended up moving down to Devon with all of this. Actually, I'll quickly go back. We used to travel into Bristol, and I was influenced by 3D, who's a legendary graffiti writer and part of Massive Attack. And I used to see his stuff up and about, and all this stuff as a youngster, you'd see it. And, you know, it's really bizarre when you think back. It's sort of like one little tag on the wall, but that was like, wow. You know, you see a million of them now, don't even take photos of it. But at the time, it was like, I can't believe somebody's done that. Yeah. then I moved to Devon in 1987, and just thought, not going to know anybody down here is into hip hop, and I sort of straight away I was asking around, you know, who's into hip hop and who does graffiti? Nobody. And Adam, Project C, sort of bumped into me at the bus stop and goes, "What music do you like, mate?" And I'm like, Beastie Boys, Run DMC, just trying to something that he might know.
Yeah.
And then we ended up having a full conversation about you know, B-sides of certain singles, and the relationship just went from there, really. In fact, he mentions that in the book, that he meets this guy, and all of us, he's thinking the same thing. He's thinking, oh, this guy's not going to know nothing. And then all of a sudden, we're both like, okay. And then, went from there.
Okay, cool. Okay, we'll leave that there, and we'll pick it up later on to the next sort of like installment of your hip hop history. That's a good, like, little dip into your history. Okay, next album. Out of your 50 that you've got on your lap there.
Okay. That actually leads me nicely onto this one, which is 1997, and it's the Projections and Project the Future, and there's the test pressing of it with there's some artwork there, which you can see.
Your artwork?
Huh?
Whose artwork?
Adam's, Project C's.
Okay, nice one. Right. Okay.
Yeah, very kind of Jean-Michel Basquiat influence, I would think.
Yeah.
And he's an architect originally by trade, so it's kind of a mixture of all of that. Yeah. But this album was we'd already done Specifik and Project C. We released a number of records, number of 12 inches, and did a lot of touring around the UK and lots of gigs. And this was the kind of in between period where we linked back up with Roller, who was in Numbskulls, and a few of our other friends, and we created, Adam created a project, and he called the group The Projections. Very kind of 60s vibe, but it means a lot. This one means a lot to me because it's where I feel Adam is the most honest in his lyrics. Out of everything he's ever done, you can really hear honesty in the lyrics. And we had a friend that was murdered at the time, and when you listen to this this album, you can really feel everything that he was going through at that time, whether that be family based, whether that be, you know, just emotionally and mentally. And it's a beautiful album. It's just a beautiful album. So it was a real honor to be involved from a production point of view. And I cherish this one a lot.
Nice one. Good stuff. John, you got anything?
I'm going to say something after he's selected his favourite track off it.
Yeah.
But I'll say something a little bit further on when it goes through his history. I've got something before I forget.
Nice one. So, on that note, what's your favourite track off that album?
Well, I think it's if he watches this, he might be surprised. It's Family, and basically what I like about it is he's just very honest about his relationship with his father, and how Adam's grandfather was from Africa. But it was actually, what's the word? When his grandfather was from Africa, so his mum moved. Yeah, his mum married his dad, and it was kind of something that was always swept under the carpet. His dad always sort of ignored this heritage, and he talks about it in this particular track. And he talks about some of his features, you know, his nose and his hair, and he's like saying, "Dad, you can't ignore this. This is my heritage." And it's really deep. It's really, really deep.
Okay, interesting. Okay, can you still, just before we go any further, can you still get any of these albums or the?
Yeah, you can. The Death Defiance is still available. Todd in Germany has some copies.
Okay.
This one you'll probably pick up on Discogs. If you message me later. I might have something lurking around. You never know. But it's if not, I can send you the files. You'd enjoy it. You'd enjoy it. It's a good listen.
Because like I said before, obviously the albums that you've picked I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Your main fan that we know is Riddler. He's always champion Beeline Recordings, you know, and the artists that are on it. You know.
Yeah.
My first time I'd even heard of you, to be honest, and there's no disrespect. I always got to put that in there, but just, you know, when you came to Gateshead, Sage Gateshead.
Yeah.
You probably don't remember me, but I was there. So was John, because we was a couple of the organisers with Sandy and Riddler and a few others. And also Leroy, Liam Polar Bear, and who else am I missing out? Before John Dyer, obviously, and a couple of others. But so yeah, that was the first time I saw you, and I didn't have any money on it, and you had your records outside on the table and all of that. And I was asking Riddler, "What's one should I get?" And then you just packed up, and I didn't get a chance to get anything because I was busy.
Yeah, because we set up a little stall, didn't we? And it was quite it was a great weekend. What a great weekend that was!
Yeah.
It was, massive respect. I stay in touch a lot with John and Sandy.
Yeah.
Sandy Vice. So I've been up to the festival they do for the last two years. We have a great time. We absolutely love it out with you guys. Yeah, love it.
Cool. So, so I just wanted to get that in there, and obviously, so people outside could also know, because obviously, like me, people when they watch this, they want to check stuff out that they've never heard before. That's one of my.
Well, I mean, that's one of the great things about what you're doing, right? I mean, there's so many little nuggets of information and people doing things in different parts of the UK that you just, you know, even though we're a big world now and there's a lot on the internet to find, you know, you might not know because for whatever reason, you know.
Yeah. And it's interesting because obviously you seem to have it all sorted down south. We always seem to struggle up here to get off the sort of like rapping to your mates page. You know, I hope I'll probably upset a few people up here, but you know, I'm sure John knows what I'm talking about. But it's like there's some, I would say we've, you know, not all of them, but there's a handful that I would say, even if I don't particularly like their music, just because it's not my taste, with MCs and really good music makers. I think when music makers have done all right, we've got quite a few music makers from up here who've done all right. You know, I can think of people like Configure and Sermstyle, done really good. But where rappers don't seem to fare as well outside of the Northeast. I think some of them is that they just don't seem to have the belief in the push. I think, you know, that they don't really push themselves as much as, but I also think it's because we're so far flung north. That
but it's a really, really interesting subject, this, and I think that's one of the things that it's becoming better as time goes on. Like Welsh hip hop, for example. There's so many good Welsh rappers, but many of those Welsh rappers don't believe, for whatever reason, that outside of Wales people will necessarily like their stuff. And there used to be the same thing in Bristol. Bristol was amazing. Bristol had like this incredible hip hop scene, but it was within Bristol. And then you get the odd person that would come in and say, you know, but mainly it was in Bristol and people in the southwest. And I guess that's because we're led by trends. So if you go back to the late 80s, everything was all about America. So you found a lot of the MCs over here were trying to emulate Americans. And then moving forward, when the task force in London was blowing up, you'd find a lot of regional MCs were then trying to sound a bit like London. So it takes quite a brave MC to represent their own town and then go outside of that. And, you know, it's not easy. It's safer rapping in your own dialect in your own area, I think, in some people's heads. Maybe. Maybe.
Okay.
Here's a question for you, because obviously, because you said you moved from Bristol down to Devon.
Yeah.
What is the hip hop scene in Devon like? Because in Newcastle there is a scene, but obviously it seems to be like, especially like for being fed when we were younger, when hip hop first came, there was a couple of shops which did it, and a few people in a couple of magazines, but that was it.
Yeah.
What was it like? Because obviously you're just as far away from London what we were. So I don't know.
I've got to say, I mean, when you, on face value, you wouldn't think it exists, and when you actually start looking into it and finding the people and you know, maybe pulling them together and people getting involved in doing events and bits and pieces. It was amazing. And what I thought was amazing about it, and I sort of mentioned it about Deaf Defiance, and probably the same in the Northeast, is that people in rural areas need to try even harder. So, I mean, the quality of the work is incredible, whether it gets heard outside of those areas. I mean, like I say, that's what Adam's explored in his book, really, is some of the stuff that was going on. I've got sort of demos from guys from Cornwall, from guys from Newcastle, and the music's amazing. Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to answer your question, Devon was pretty special. It had a really good scene. The Southside Alliance was the main crew. Kilo, who went on to do visual graphics television from London. He moved from London to Devon, had a lot of influence on the people down there. Yeah. Shot videos. He did like a whole video series, like pioneering graffiti video series in the kind of early 90s. And of course, Roller, Numbskulls, huge. And then the next generation on was First Aid and Critically Ill, and all these guys have been successful in one respect or another. Yeah. So it's been a great journey, great scene down there.
Cool. Okay, I will touch on that again because I think it's important. I think, you know, I've got my taste, John's got his, you know, we always have this discussion. We've been doing like, you know, this sort of like thing for Method Radio that Sandy runs.
Yeah.
Before, we're not DJs. Riddler's the only one out of the four of us that's a DJ, but me and John like to put tracks together and put a mix out every once a month of just our favourite sort of have a loose sort of like topic and then just have a bit of fun with it. And we did one about Northeast hip hop, and we've both got our favourites and stuff. And just some of the, you listen to it, and I listen to artists from around the country, and no disrespect to them, but we've got some just as good, if not better, up here, but they never did it. But I think part of it's because, like I said before, I think part of it's because they didn't push as hard as other ones did. You know what I mean? I think not always about your sort of like your skills, or what you want to call it, your talent. Some of it's also about putting the graft in as well, and I don't think people were prepared to do that.
That's a huge part. I've seen so many talented people not achieve their goals because they've been talented, but they haven't had the drive, or they haven't been able to sell themselves. So they've had to rely on other people for that. Well, you know, obviously there are some people that are lesser talented, dare I say it, that sort of really get out there because they've got the gift of the gab, and, you know, and they're prepared to talk to people. I think it's just like in every walk of life, though, isn't it?
Fair enough. So okay, we'll come back to that. We'll dip into your next album then, please.
Okie dokie. Well, the next one I know you've already had on the show. So that's the test pressing. That's the main release.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And that is the incredible Chrome Hill inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah, the All Seeing Eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. Okay. Nice guy. Got to say, really, really nice guy. You know, came on. I've got nothing. You know, for me, it's like, you know, I don't know these people, but when people come on and start chatting to you, you just know, you pick up on it. You just think, you know, that's a really nice guy. You know, he's not strutting about saying I've made it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've met some people like, you know, and I just think, you've had one hit, or you've got 50 people in a bar jumping up and down your tunes doesn't mean that you're Jay-Z. So just chill out. You know what I mean? But he's definitely not like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've got respect for people like that loads of time. Like that, you know, and so it's spot on. And I've been checking some of his tunes out, and I'm, you know, again, I'm a late developer to his music, but I have been checking some of it out, and I'm liking it. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, Fred. I mean, that's the beauty of this journey, isn't it? I mean, you know, by doing these shows, you're learning I'm learning from you guys by doing the show. Yeah. You're learning from the people you're in. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah. This album, though, see, when Beeline kicked off, I suppose, it came, the very first record was 2012, and it was Sabine's OBE from Bristol. Great little record. Then I got involved in, and the second record was a 7-inch I did with Chrome, actually. and a guy called Agent Finch. And I hadn't made a record since, I reckon, 2004 at that point.
Yeah.
So it was a few years later, and I didn't feel like there was enough people out there buying records. It was going through a weird stage, even to the point where the Projections album, when we released it originally, it was on a CD. It wasn't on a record because record shops had died around the mid 2000s, and it was all just a bit weird. So the single came out and sold out within 2 weeks, and it blew my mind. I was like, I cannot believe this whole new crowd, this internet crowd. We could really do something with this. And so I did a couple more records, and I spoke to Crime, and then we were sort of brave enough to start delving into doing some albums. And then Crime brought this one to the table, and I was like, again, we're still a bit nervous, still early days, but I knew this would be a special project. These guys live are fantastic, and so when we got it together and we put it out, I mean, this flew and gave me even more confidence in the label, gave us even more ability to do more things. So I've got a massive thank you to Crime for being involved with our label, and being the guy he is. Great rapper, great producer. Just a nice guy.
Nice one.
And Bill as well, of course. And Bill. Can't forget Bill.
Yeah, two of them.
Yeah.
The thing I would like to ask you about Beeline, I suppose, is before we go into it, is I tried to start something up. John knows this. I tried to start something up similar to this in Newcastle. I'm not musical, as in, I'm not a DJ. Because I'm a youth worker by trade, and I've been working with young people, and I got frustrated because I kept on running out of funding, and I just thought, you know what? Why don't I work with some of the older ones and just say, look, and what happened was I've worked on the door for many years as a bouncer as well, and quick story short, people used to get in my car and say, oh, Geordie rap's terrible. What's that? Geordie's can't rap. That's cheesy. It's corny. But I like this song. But I like that song. I thought, you know what? Why don't we try and put stuff out where some of the stuff I asked some of the lads and lasses who were rapping, they, give us your most commercial song. Don't make a commercial song. Just give us your most ear-friendly song that people might listen to. Put a couple of those out. It picked up. We started putting shows on in some pubs and clubs in Newcastle. We started getting a bit of a following. And I wanted to take it a step further. I started taking it around the other parts of the country. I've got family in London. I wanted to get some people down there. I was making inquiries every time I went to London. I wanted to build it up, and I was hoping to get to the point where it was a bit of a record label. It didn't get to that point. I think there was, when I was first doing as well, I said there were samplers. I was only selling them to get money off them to get enough money to put more out. But people started, if you're making money off it, I want money off it. I said, I'm not making any money off it. It's actually costing me. Cut a long story short, it didn't go anywhere. How did you set up Beeline Recordings? Could you tell people a little bit about that? How you got that stage, the next stage?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there on the first day.
Yeah.
There were two guys, a guy called Dan the Fish and Darren Big Tunes D, and they did a radio show in Gloucester called the Beeline Recording Show.
Yeah.
They wanted to sort of do something. They wanted to take it a bit further, and they wanted to put a record out. So they put out the Beans record. And when I used to do a lot of gigs with Adam, Project C, we used to play a lot in Cheltenham, one of Dan's venues.
Yeah.
And I was chatting to him on the phone. He said, if you've got some tracks, I'd love to put one of your tracks out. It'd be great to get you guys back on board. So I'm working on stuff all the time. So I'll send you some stuff. And he sent it to me. He went to the other guys, and the other guys were like, we only thought we were going to do one. It was just like a thing, just to do a record because we want to do a record. I was like, So he came back to me and went, well, the other guys haven't got the money. I was like, no, well, let me get involved financially with you. We'll do it, and we'll get it out. And like I say, we did that. And I'm kind of one of those people that I'm all or nothing. And we really made a lot of effort with it. Really pushed the name and the brand out, and we were out playing, DJing, and doing everything. And the label just exploded from that point. So I suppose one of the really key thing was a lot of time, for a lot of my musical history, probably like many other people, you've had to sort of try to fit into certain, just trying to accommodate what other people were expecting from you.
Yeah.
And I got to the point. I mean, I'm really passionate about hip hop as I see it, as I hear it, and the internet thing made me realise quite quickly there's a lot of people out there just like me who just wanted proper hip hop, as what I thought.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of very like-minded people. So when we got the result back from the first record, I was like, this is amazing. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do an EP, and I'm going to go around and speak to, say, 6 people, Chrome, and a few other people. We're going to do this EP, and we're going to make it really cost-effective for people to buy it, and just so people can hear good quality UK rap at a reasonable price. Because at the time, there was a lot of labels that were doing records, but they were very, I want to say, limited edition this, and colour vinyl that, and it was very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to take it back to the grassroots, which was, here's a record, because we like records, and it's got UK rap on it with people that are out now.
Yeah.
And we were mixing people that have got a lot of history in UK rap with people that had none. So it was a great way to introduce new people and to give them a platform that they could be heard. And before you know it, a lot of these people are really taking off, getting gigs of their own. And it's just been great. It's been great.
Cool. Okay. Nice one. Anything, John?
Yeah. What's your favourite track off that album?
That's easy, actually. In Control and Effect. It's just, proper hip hop. It's amazing. Drum beats, bass line, just ridiculous flows, just bouncing off each other. Suspects are on there as well. Suspects are a great group. CS1 of the Mantis chapters on there. Yeah, it's just a great track. I mean, there's loads of great tracks, obviously, on here, but that one to me, I remember when I first heard that track, I was like, same. I don't think Mike knew at the time, but it's the same break that Edan uses on. Oh, sorry, Mr. Liff uses with the track on Edan Emergency Rations. But yeah, great record.
Nice one. Okay. Right. Next album.
Okay. Okie. Where are we up to? Number 3, aren't we? 4. Trying to sneak in one there.
We're counting, don't you worry.
Well, first, I want to apologise in advance for the cover. It can't be helped, but it's my good old mate Whirlwind here.
Phil Mitchell.
Huh?
Looks like Phil Mitchell.
Yeah, he's not as tough as this in real life. So so you're going back to the whole concept of my top 5. I mean, this to me, the amount of experiences we've shared because of the music on this is unbelievable. So regardless of how people sort of pigeonhole what they feel music is in terms of, for me, this is just amazing because every time I hear it, I think of us being in Germany. I think of us, performing with Public Enemy, Wu-Tang, all these amazing things that we've done, and it's all off the back of the work that's been involved with albums like this, and that's why this is in my top 5. It's great music as well, obviously.
Again, another guy that we've interviewed, and again another guy that I've got to say, spot on. No airs and graces, likes his hip hop, and this is very approachable, which for me, I've always got a lot of time for. Spot on.
One of my best friends. We do so much stuff together. We do a radio show together on a Friday, Cold Crush radio show. He does a section called The Pioneers, and he's got so much. I mean, you can see by the size of his head, he's got so much information. Hip hop wise, he's a real oracle of hip hop. This guy, as well as a really good guy and a great rapper as well. I mean, it's if you've not heard it, I recommend you hear it. It's so many different textures, so many different layers. And it's something for everyone. Great album.
Nice one. Okay. What's your favourite track off that album?
No, I actually haven't thought about this one. I am going to go with When I Write, which is the first track on side A.
Yeah.
It features Oxygen from Soundside. The beat is by Sabines OBE. There's a video for it, and it's just silky smooth. It really is a silky smooth track. I mean, there's lots of great tracks on it, but that one is well, clearly the reason he did the video for it. It's really stand out.
Nice one. Okay.
Yeah. Big up to Whirlwind.
Again, it's somebody else I need to check out more. Just listen to snippets, bits and bobs, and what Riddler's and stuff. So I need to check them out more.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're like. I know John still checks out new music, but I don't really check out new music. I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I've had my fingers burned that many times. You buy something, of someone else's recommendation, and then I'm like, ugh, I don't really like this.
Well, like my recommendations.
Well, your recommendations are trash. Let's face it. John's got a very, very, very unique style of trainers and music. I'm just saying that there. I do need to check people out more. And the trouble with me sometimes is my ear's quite funny. Some stuff I like instantly, stuff it's a grower. So a classic example would be Paris. I love Paris, the rapper Paris. His new album, I bought it, listened to it, I thought, this is rubbish, I'm not listening to this anymore. And then I've been listening to it in the car over the last week, and I absolutely love it now. And I've just got to give it some time sometimes. Something's by listening to the first time, I've got a funny ear like that. I've just got to be in the mood as well. If I'm in the wrong mood, for whatever reason, it affects my listening pleasure as well.
I mean, I totally agree with you there. I mean, sometimes you have to be in the right mood, or it has to be because of something, or you heard on the radio and everyone else was there has to be something, doesn't there? Yeah. Like I'm such a what's the word for people's second albums. I love the first album, then they bring out a second album, and it's like, but it's not the same as the first, and it sits there for 10 years. And I pull out and go, oh, it's amazing, and it's like, I don't know what it is. You're just not ready for it at the time, or whatever.
Right. Yeah, there's only a few artists that I've consistently listened to their albums after the second or third. Like, by the time it gets to the third one, I've give up on them. There's only a few artists that I can think of that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Cold Crush. Do you want to tell me and others about Cold Crush? I've seen it floating around on Facebook and stuff, but I don't know much about it. Can you tell us about it, how it was set up? Is it something that you set up, or is it something that you're a show that you're on? Just tell us.
Yeah. Well, it was another platform I created. So Beeline, obviously, record label. A number of years ago, I created the Cold Crush. It was it was a night in Bournemouth, so a weekly night of hip hop. DJs would come down, different performers. And that went on for a number of years, actually until lockdown, to be honest with you. But alongside the nights, I started the Cold Crush radio show, and originally it just started off, I think maybe even 2 years ago, doing Facebook Live before it got weird with the copyright thing. So I was doing it way back before that it became problematic, and then the copyright thing came to it, and I got picked up by Trax FM. They said, "Look, we'd love you to do the prime spot on Friday night." So I do 8 till 10:30 on Friday nights. Cold Crush radio show. Yeah. And it's really good following. There's regular people every week. Good chat. Lots of debate on hip hop. It's quite. It's a bit of a party night, nerd fest. Just it would be like us lot hanging out in a bar, having a couple of drinks, listening to good, debating it.
All right. So can we get it up in your castle? Is it like So how would we get a hold of it?
So you would be on traxfm.org. It's originally a London pirate radio station, one of the very first London pirate radio stations. Now it's online, traxfm.org, and that's Friday night, 8:30 till 10.
Right. Okay. Friday night.
While we're talking radio, I'll also do a radio show on Wednesday night called the Audio Antidote, which is 10 to 11 on Trax. And that is a kind of a discovery into samples and soundtracks and all sorts of. Some of it, most of it's, well, in fact, it's 99% not hip hop. It's all sorts, but it's stuff that I'm inspired by for whatever reason.
So obviously we do our thing on a Friday night. You know,
Yeah.
normally runs from about 8 till 9:30 or something like that, depending how long the
Yeah.
thing is. So can we tune in afterwards? Is it like posted somewhere where we can get it on the next day or a day after or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I haven't done it for a while, but normally it's up on Mixcloud. I mean, you've got 2 years worth on Mixcloud, I think, already. So there's plenty up there.
Check it out, because you know, since lockdown, I've started going for walks.
Yeah.
I normally go to the gym. I can't go to the gym at the moment, and so I've just been going for walks to clear my head a bit. And I've normally been listening to podcasts, but it'd be nice to know I can listen to other things like your show if I could just get them on my phone.
You'd enjoy it, and Whirlwind does his Pioneers thing on there as well. So between my kind of new music and we do a lot of shout outs to people, and it's a very community feel to it. And when I say community, I don't mean local. It's right across the world. So I've got listeners in Australia and Germany.
Nice. Okay.
It's a great community. But then Whirlwind comes in and does this Pioneers section, which is sort of pinpointing a year or a record label or a town.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Okay, nice one. You ever check it out before, John?
I haven't, no. Well, you know me, I very rarely listen to the radio.
Yes, yeah. I'm the opposite. Me, I probably listen. I like to listen to my music, but I've more and more I've been getting into podcasts and listening to like what like. When I've been driving around the day, apart from like, you know, obviously when I came back, I listened to your stuff. But before that was when I was driving around shop to shop and stuff, and dropping cards off for people. I was listening to the Ramesh Ranganathan's podcast, Hip Hop Saved My Life.
Yeah,
love them. I just like listening to what other people have got to say, and obviously radio shows like yourself. I will be checking them out. I think it's good stuff.
I think you'd enjoy it. We also did I did Cold Crush TV as well for a bit.
I used to watch quite a few of the Cold Crush things that you used to do on Facebook. It's like, I can't remember what night it used to be, but you used to do loads of live ones.
Yeah, that's right.
They stopped until the Facebook police got hold of you.
No, that's it. In fact, I lost a lot of people the Facebook crowd because it was very easy for people to dip in and out on Facebook, and it was a lot more interactive, and which was great. But which is, I suppose, why a lot of people like to use the streaming platforms, which is just getting shut down left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
But we did this thing called Cold Crush TV as well, which is kind of my nod to MTV Raps, I guess, which is now a show. There's 9 episodes up on YouTube. You can find that. It's basically all new music. That's introducing the videos and also having guests on as well, whether it be DJs, B-boys. In fact, we had one of the guys from Newcastle. On the show, what's his name now? He's a breaker and a graffiti writer from up that way, from Bad Taste Crew.
Is it Doug or is it Jelly?
Oh, you know what? I feel terrible now. You know when you.
That's all right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on quickly because I'm embarrassing myself.
I'm going to send it and see you forgot your name.
No. His age.
Nice one. Okay, we're into your last album now.
Okay, well, I know. Obviously, when I put this one forward, you tried to sidetrack me with it and say no, it's not out yet. But
see, he's cheating. See, you can tell they're all friends with Riddler, can't you? Because they're all. Yes. Okay.
So this is our release for 2021.
Yeah.
Uncle Mike Nitro and the Vincent on the Horseback album. And I had to include this really because not only is it, I think it's one of those albums that people can listen to and be blown away. If you compare this to any other UK album, this is up there and beyond. I mean, the guests, the kind of the variety of music, the quality of it, it's just a phenomenal album. And of course, it's coming out on Beeline, which is, I'm very, very, very proud of this one. And we're really looking forward to it coming out in 2021. And to be honest, because it's been such a long time in the making, I've been listening to this album for nearly 2 years in various forms. I've had the test pressing now for, I've had it for probably a couple of months, I would say, and the main run, just due to the fact that the pressing plants are so far behind. It was going to be a Christmas release, but because of the plants are so far behind, it's now going to be the end of January.
Why is it behind? Is that because of COVID?
Well, I think COVID will have something to do with that, because there's too many people at home making music. So the creativity of 2020 is going to be through the roof. When people look back at 2020, I hope they see creativity more than they see, a horror story, because it's been an amazing year for creativity. When you look at the stuff that's come out this year, it's been pretty special, I think.
Yeah, I think also for me, I mean, one of our good guys they are. So shout out to RPM Record dudes, which is Rich, Marek, and what's the other guy called? Delta's out, John.
You just totally dropped me in a crap here, haven't you?
Well, anyway, yeah. Sorry, mate. Craig, is it?
2 seconds.
But I was talking to them yesterday. Anyway, I was talking to them yesterday, and it was funny because I was in there and there was loads of young people coming in to buy vinyl. Well, I'm saying Mark. Sorry, yes. Sorry, Mark, if you're listening. And it's just interesting because, I don't really say that much these days. You know what I mean? But and then there was a young man in, and he was in with his mum and dad, and he's wanting an old gramophone style of record. Didn't want decks like other young people might want if they're going to get record. He wanted to, because they sell old gramophone types like in the mahogany type thing and that. I was just standing there with a big smile on my face, thinking this is great. You know what I mean? It's really nice to see.
It amazes me when you go into HMV now, and I mean, it's like going back to like 1990. Really, it's unbelievable. The amount of records in there are unbelievable, and the people that are buying them, it is mainly young people actually. Yeah. And what I can't get my head around is why they keep regurgitating the same old albums. It's like, come on,
it's safe.
If you really want this to move forward, really start pushing the new stuff. And just cover all the new music, not just all the old stuff again. And I'm going to get this in there actually, because this is John don't like that.
That's personal.
So I did a copy of the basket cover as the very first test person, and
nice one. Saying that though, when you're talking about new music, just get that in before we finish off with the Uncle Mike Nitro one. I was in HMV today, and I bought Dizzy Rascal's newish album.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
E3AF. And I was like, and I went to get it, and somebody else goes, I was going to get it, and there was two. I got one, and they got one, and I was just a young person again. And I was just like, that stuff normally just floats around in the air. It's just downloadable, isn't it? Not even CD. But there was me, and I'm an old dude, but there was a young person in there buying it as well, which I was like quite impressed about as well. Young people buying like Dizzy Rascal on vinyl, which is crazy.
You'd like to think, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd probably, very similar ages. But when you were younger and you had your friends around, you're having a couple of drinks, and you sort of showing, look what I've got. You can't really do that with files, can you?
No, not with stuff that floats around in the air. That's why people always say it was, obviously for this, I've been accepting like sort of like files being sent to us, but I hate them. I normally delete them afterwards because I just don't like it. John does that kind of crack. I'm just not really a fan of like downloadables and files on me laptop and that. It's just not something I really like. I've got Spotify, but just so I can listen to it in the car. I don't really listen to Spotify in the house.
The reason why I've got so many bits on digital now though is because I lost a lot of my vinyl. Yeah. And luckily I managed to buy it on digital, or I've gotten CD and transfer, which is handy to have on my phone so I can listen to it at work and everything like that. That's the only reason that I started getting it digital. Yeah, because
I know obviously, John, the size of your place as well, it's not massive. You couldn't really have loads of records and record players in your place, could you? No. I get that, but I just suppose for me, it's just I'm stubborn and old fashioned. I just like.
I'm a bit of a nerd, really. I've got hard drives full of music. I collect everything digitally. I have it all archived perfectly. Mm-hmm. I still use mini disc. Still use cassettes. just whatever it comes on. But yeah, I just when I DJ, I use Seratos. I DJ digitally.
Yeah.
I you know, I love records. I collect records all the time, buy records all the time.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Who should we watch out for in the future? I know Uncle Mike Nitro, and we're going to come back to that. I suppose we'll finish that off first. So, Uncle Mike Nitro, what's so good about that album? Would you say is why you picked it? What makes that album so good?
It's a future classic UK hip hop album. It's got something for everyone on there. Again, I mean, one of the nice things about that, I know you've interviewed Alex.
Yeah.
Alex is it's quite a complex character.
You don't say.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of his head is in that record.
Okay.
And you know, his chip goes a lot quicker than a lot of people's. He's 110 miles an hour, and if you go through that, the emotion that's in there, good and bad, you know, his journey through all the stuff, relationship stuff, musical stuff, and the quality, and the quality it just comes through. It's one of those sort of things it's not music for music's sake, if that makes sense. It's a real reflection of a human being, and their passion for life and everything in it. I think, anyway. I might be being a bit for me, it really does capture what I know of Alex. I've known Alex a long time. I mean, when he put his first album out, My State Krakatoa, if you look at the cover, I mean, that's just got so many different things, and it's just what like Alex is like. He's like a million reference points all the time, to the point you can't even keep up with him half the time. It's just crackers, absolute crackers. But you know, it's just the guests are amazing, and you know, Alex as well. Of course, he puts himself up against guests that are top of the game. You know, whether it be modern times or from old, and holds his own in that environment. You know, when you're doing your own album, to put on guests that are of that caliber, you know, there's a good chance they might outshine you. They don't. Alex clearly goes out of his way to show that he's up there with the best of them, and I love that. That's what hip hop's all about. It's like, come on, you know, bring on your best, and
cool.
great. And there's a track on there. I haven't done my favorite track on it, so I was going to sneak this one in. There's a track on there which is featuring Greg Blackman, and it uses a Stevie Wonder sample. I don't know if you've heard it, but I've played that out in kind of a commercial setting in bars where you know, people are not into hip hop, and it goes off. It's that good. It's like such a dance floor friendly track on a UK hip hop album, but it retains its credibility. If you listen to the lyrics, it's just brilliant.
Nice one.
Brilliant.
Okay. I have got it to listen to. I've listened to snippet. I need to just check it out properly. Interesting. Okay.
My advice, for what it's worth, and I suppose it's the same with any album, but definitely this one is to sit back, put it on from the very beginning, just listen to it all the way through, because you'll capture all those different things I was talking about, those different emotions. And I think that's the most important thing about what I don't like about albums digitally is the skipping. You can miss out on so many textures from this. That's the beauty of an album, isn't it?
I've got, you know, because we've been doing these things for a number of months now, I've got a bank of sort of stuff that I want to listen to, and I purposely wait until I break up. I break up from work on Wednesday, and I'm just going to be like sitting in the bath or going for walks, where I'm just going to be listening to those tunes, like albums, like one after the other, and not just doing snippets of them like I have been at the moment, because I think if you listen to snippets of them, you miss stuff. That's sometimes why I don't like it. So I'm going to be going for long walks, like 2-hour walks and stuff, and I'll be banging some of this stuff out when I'm walking.
It's the only way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. or like I say, lying in the bath or whatever, lying on bed and just listen to them. You know what I mean? Like properly. Hopefully that way, instead of just
too easy to go for that change.
Yeah. But I'll just listen all the way through. Whether I like them or not, I'll listen all the way through, and I'll give it a few spins as well. I wouldn't just like that and just skip it. I'm going to listen to them and try and detect where the artist is going with it. Definitely. Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Beeline, the future, and what artists you've got coming out in 2021?
Okay. Well, the last couple of years have been a bit quieter for Beeline. I've kind of more focused on myself as an artist. 2 albums in the background of that's top one's 2016. That one was last year.
Okay.
So I've been focusing a bit more on myself as an artist. I've been working on many. I mean, I've had 3 7-inches out in the last couple of months. One with SK and Chrome and Whirlwind D. Another one is a charity project with a group I'm in called the Bitterati. Another one where I'm a rapper as well with Whirlwind and a guy from Australia called Double Agents. And we just got stuff on the go all the time. So yeah, Beeline wise though, the next step for Beeline is to get the Nitro album out, and then is to take stock from there of what might be my plan is to do another EP, because we've had 4 EPs, but they're really albums, and they're a good reflection of UK hip hop. I haven't done one of those for a couple of years, so I think it'd be really nice to do that after the Uncle Mike Nitro, and then it's a case of having a look at what how records are selling, whether we do more singles or whether we dive back into more albums. I mean, the catalogue now, the Beeline catalogue is, I think it's 30, 40 releases potentially in the album. So it's, I'm pretty proud of what we've achieved today, and it's not something that I feel like needs to carry on just for the sake of carrying on. So it will just be as it comes along, and if it suits the archive, if that makes sense. You know, I don't want to do it for doing its sake. It's got to be right.
As a greedy punter, all I would say is I wish people would stop bringing these 7 inches out, because it does me head in.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm lazy and I want to listen to a whole. I don't want to keep getting up and changing the 7 inch. It's all right when you're DJing, but not when you're blooming trying to listen to stuff. You know.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, that because it's probably it's the cheapest way for any artist
to
put a song out on vinyl, and there's a big market for 7 inches at the moment. They're very collectible, so I think that's the main reason. I mean, put an album out is, and we've done a lot of. My thing was to do albums like they were from 1990, Def Jam, so they had that single album feel with a shrink wrap and a sticker and all that stuff. So it had a legitimate, original sort of feel to it. But to actually put an album out, there's a lot more of an investment. There's a lot more hard work, I think, that goes into putting an album out. So you've got to be really careful about what you do and what you don't do. I mean, we've had some incredible successes and some not so good ones. So
I get that. I suppose, you know, obviously from a business point, it makes more sense, you know, less plastic, or vinyl, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? Obviously, economically, that works out better for you, but I just suppose me being lazy, and, you know, when you look at my collection, it's not vast. I've got lots of records, but majority of my records are albums. I never used to buy 12 inches very often. Just economy-wise, I couldn't afford it. I was like, if I'm going to buy an album that's got 3 singles on it, or go and buy 3 singles and the album, it's cheaper for me to buy the album. You know what I mean? Especially when I didn't have a job in the early days, or had crop-paying jobs. It just made more sense. So, you know, I'm only buying 12 inches to catch up now, and I'm buying old stuff that I didn't have. And it's always a surprise to me as well when I hear it. I'm like, regular place, and I say, what's that? I recognize that, and I realize it's the single, a different version of something that's on the album, because I've never heard it. You know, a lot of the time I've never heard it, you know what I mean? Because I've only ever heard it the album version, you know? So, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
For me, these days, it seems to me, the market-wise, it's either albums or it's 7 inches. I mean, the 12 inches now are not so regular as you know they were back in the day. I mean, that used to be the only way to listen to hip hop music really was 12 inches. But I think the reason why artists have gone the route they've gone is because to actually put out a 12-inch cost-wise is probably nearly as much as it's close to what an album is. So 7 inches obviously are a lot cheaper to do, and people are buying them, and I think that's just the way it's gone. It's a shame, really, because maybe there'll be a huge resurgence in 12 inches at some point. I don't know, but
you never know. Never know.
Yeah, don't know.
Cool. John, anything?
Yeah, what's your favourite track off that album?
Good point, actually. I think Drinking.
I've not heard the album. I've only heard God Get Smacked Up, but I've heard. But Alex was saying that the version that got released as a single isn't on the album, is it? The different version without the pod sample.
Yeah, that's my fault.
All right. That's one of my favourite tracks of this year.
Yeah. So the bug gets slapped up. When I heard the original version, which uses Apache, I was like, this is a great track. And then he played me the remix that was done by DJ Crash Slaughter, and for me it fit. It really sounded better for Said G's verse. It sounded much more Ultramagnetics, and I was like, that's the one I want for the album. And now it's like, cool, put it on a single.
I've not heard it yet, so
it's the problem I have with remixes is once you've got your head into one version, it's very difficult to then kind of go into another version. Like it's like Populage or Scenario, you have your version and you won't listen to anything else. It's for me the one that's on the album. It's killer. DJ Crash Slaughter, an amazing producer and DJ, of course.
Okay.
My favorite track is Drinking, and it's very synth based. Again, it's a real journey about somebody that's finished work and has gone out and had a couple of drinks with their friends, and then they're still there at the end of the night, and it just paints a picture of typical kind of British life, and I love that. I mean, hip hop to me needs to be as honest as possible. There's too many people trying to fabricate what they are, and to me, it's a really good, honest representation of a typical night out, maybe in Southampton. And I like that. I like that a lot. And I also like the fact that it's in his, again, it's his accent. It's what he's about, and it's great. Yeah.
Okay, nice one. Okay, we're going to wrap it up now. So we just got obviously some last words. But what I would like to ask you is, how can a punter who's watching this now buy stuff from Beeline? How do they get in touch with you? Just your handles.
Okay, so Beeline as a shop has moved to distribution through Hip Hop Bebop. So hiphopbebop.com is where people can buy all things Beeline.
Right.
Typically with releases, they come out and then they sell out. There's not really that many things kicking about after the main event as such. So it's a case of going on to Discogs for those sort of more rarer bits and pieces. Music-wise, of course, you can catch us on the radio, and so a couple of times a week on the radio. And obviously, when we're back to normal, if there's ever going to be such a thing, we're typically up and down the country doing live shows and just doing as much stuff as we possibly can.
So like how you came up to our thing up here at the Sage, the bridge, and then we had the bridge at Lindisfarne. Do you have anything similar that you put on down your end?
Yeah, I mean, I put on a lot of events over the years. I used to put on a thing called the Beeline Jam, and that was a big congregation of UK hip hop like-minded people with record fairs and b-boy battles, graffiti going on, and like an all-day music event. So I've sort of done quite a few of those, and I do an event in Bristol called Rope-a-Dope, which is every year, and again, that's a gathering, a very similar thing to the Beeline Jams. That's a gathering of like-minded people, record fairs again, and painting going on, and it's just a celebration of the culture and everyone getting together. And and hanging out, which is great. And in between that, we do lots of stuff for some pretty large promoters that put on some pretty big events. So this year I was supposed to be doing the Huey Morgan tour, the Block Party tour, kicking off in London at the Brixton Academy, and obviously went with Cash Money as well. So that was going to be a lot of fun. I'm good friends with DJ Cash Money, so that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing. And also, when we get the chance, we're over in Germany and other places in Europe where we sell our wares and just play music, enjoy it.
Okay, just, I do go to gigs. That's how the Vinyl Vandals was formed, by us just jumping in cars and going to gigs.
Yeah.
Or jumping on trains when we go to London, because we're all a bit starved up here of like live hip hop. But I'd like to be able to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some kind of sort of. I'm not a one for sitting in fields. I hate that kind of crap. That's why John knows that. I do sometimes call into Lindisfarne, but it's for a quick visit that I'll make off. I can't stand sitting in fields and all of that kind of crap. But if there's somewhere where it's in a venue and you've got some kind of event on, I do like going to those type of events. When you're talking about record fairs, yes, we're pricking them. So in the future, hopefully, when COVID buggers off, I'd like to be able to come down to Bristol or somewhere like that. And that's why I'm asking,
you guys, a few of the guys from that way have ventured down.
Yeah.
And had a great time. Richard Valentine, he's from your neck of the woods. He's a regular, comes down.
Right.
I've got to say, I warmed up for Goldie last year at Lindisfarne. And I was really racking my brains of what I was going to play in this big tent before Goldie. And I did a whole combination of stuff that was sort of break BT, mixed with old school stuff, Beat Street and stuff like that. And Riddler, I see him come running across the field. Heard Beat Street. He's quite a surreal scenario, but great. I love it. I love it up in Newcastle. Everyone's very open-minded, very friendly, and it's a really, really big place to come.
Good stuff. Nice to hear. Okay, then. John, have you got any last words?
No, just thank you very much for taking time out to speak to us. I've got new stuff I'm going to be listening to over the Christmas holidays now. Just thanks for taking time out, and thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And have you got anything that you want to say before we go as well?
Well, I'm going to have to do some shout-outs, and I have to.
Yeah.
Obviously, I will just, before I say that, apologies to anybody I missed, but I've got to shout out everybody that's been involved with Beeline from day one till now. Everyone's input has just been incredible. The whole label wouldn't exist without the people that have had an input into it, whether that be by coming to the gigs, buying the records, being involved with the records, doing the artwork, taking the photographs. I mean, it's been a really amazing journey so far, and it's been a really good community feel. The label has never ever been just about me, nor about Dudley or anyone like that. It's been about the whole community, and long may that continue. So big shout out to everybody that's done that. Big shout out to everybody that locks in regularly to the Cold Crush as well. There's a great following there. That's been a lot of fun over the last couple of years, and long may that continue as well. And hopefully we'll see you all in the flesh at some point in 2021. Fingers crossed.
That's our mission, Vinyl Vandals, to get ourselves a bit further afield than London and somewhere else. Never been to Devon, so I'd like to go and visit Devon. And I've been to Bristol a couple of times, but not for a gig, for weddings and stuff. That's the only time I've been in Bristol.
Well, I live in Bournemouth, Fred, and live in Bournemouth now, and I have done for a good long time. It's a great town. It's a great party town. We have lots of good nights, and hopefully if we can get back to some kind of normality, you guys will be very welcome down here.
Thank you. Okay, I've just got one quick question, and then I'm going to say bye. And that is, if you were an artist that wanted to be out, how do they get in touch with you? To sort of like, do you take on people from outside your area? Like on your record label, how does it work?
Yeah, I mean the record label is not exclusive to anybody from. It's just open to anybody that's good, regardless of age, anything. It's always never been exclusive to certain individuals. It's been a really open platform for everyone. There's always a method behind it. You obviously just can't stick, Joe Blogs from a town on an album, because you need to get them out there and get them known. That's why I was doing these EPs. It was sort of giving them a platform to be able to get out there. And some of these guys are as good, if not better, than some of the established guys. So nice to give them that sort of leg up to be able to do that. So I suppose for me, if I'm doing EPs moving forward, please keep sending stuff to me. But don't be too disheartened if things are a bit slow, or if it's great, thank you for that, but I'm not doing anything at the moment. Also got a radio show. Of course, there's a lot of people listening to the music, so if it's good, I'm going to play it regardless of who you are, where you're from. I just love the music. I don't have any issues with, I'm not exclusive to anything or anyone. It's all about the good, the good music, good hip hop, basically.
Nice one. Okay. And on that note, I'm going to round it up. Thank you. Say the name, John. Say the name.
Specifik.
You can't even say it.
It's late.
Thank you, Specifik, for giving us your time. I couldn't even say the rest of it. We are the Vinyl Vandals. This has been a favourite 5. Thank you for tuning in. Please share. Please comment. Don't forget, the Vinyl Vandals are me, King Fred, John, DJ Riddler, and Julie. And also, we are the Trainer Detective. With my son, I do the Trainer Detective. We're still looking for people who will come on and speak about the top 5 trainers. We can't go into people's houses at the moment, so we're just doing it on Zoom. So if you've got a trainer collection and you want to come on and have a chat to me about it, please come on. Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to come back and speak to you, because I know you'll have your trainers. I know. I know. And also, we want to get you back on to talk about your favourite USA as well. So I will be knocking on your door again in about a month's time.
It'll be an absolute pleasure, guys, and I'd love to come back and do the USA one. And yeah.
Whatever you do, be safe. Thanks very much. Peace, everybody.
And you guys have a great Christmas, and everyone be safe out there. Don't get too stressed out about this thing. It's we can still live our lives. Don't get consumed by that television.
True story.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.